staff, the city legal, and the Office of Police Oversight. I want to start by saying that this investigation is in the early stages and all the information is preliminary. The information as we know it now may change as the investigation progresses. So last night, officers were dispatched on a prior prowler call, again, a top priority run. A video, video surveillance was released, and someone called and stated that someone was attempting to break entry into a business there, and that it appeared he had a rock and a weapon in his waistband. Officers responded within 7 minutes, I believe, of getting on the scene, 9 minutes within the call being received. They responded. The subject was non-compliant. Officers for 14 minutes attempted to de-escalate the situation, again, repeating and pleading with the subject to drop the weapon, which he did not do. At 11:25, unfortunately, shots were fired, and the suspect is deceased. Again, a tragic situation. Officers perceived that threat, and they shot. Again, a tragic situation for all involved. Anytime there is a loss of life, it is not something that any of us want to stand here and talk about. So again, my condolences to their family. It is a male subject, a male white subject. At this time, he has not been identified fully, so we'll have that information for you at the 10-day mark. We'll take some questions now.
How many years of experience did the officers who responded have?
It was 5 officers that were involved, and I'm not sure. We can get that for you for the 10-day release on what their length of service is.
And kind of give us just a breakdown of what unfolded when officers arrived on scene, what happened with the suspect, and then what happened to lead to the opening of the wire.
Yeah, so when, again, the video is released, you'll see that there's an attempt. Again, the call for service is that someone's breaking into a business and that they are armed. There is a gun there and a rock in their hand. When officers arrive, there's some agitation on his part, some pacing back and forth. Officers are giving verbal commands immediately as soon as they arrive. Again, once that first officer responds, it's only a matter of within seconds to minutes where there's multiple officers on scene, and all of them do a great job of taking cover and giving verbal commands, again, to the individual to drop the gun. Please just drop the gun. Show us your hands. This doesn't have to be this way. Again, these multiple commands trying to connect with him to drop this weapon. And at that point, the perceived, again, the gun was in his hand at this point, and the gun was raised, and the officers perceived that threat, and shots were fired.
What de-escalation tactics did they use? Did they shout verbal commands? Did they try tasers?
Yeah, so again, the verbal command, that de-escalation, that is that verbal attempt to de-escalate the situation. And again, for 12 minutes, they continued to ask him and plead with him to drop the weapon, that this is not worth it, that please drop the weapon. And that's a de-escalation attempt. In addition to the 5 shots fired, there was a pepper ball that was fired, less lethal. One officer did fire the pepper ball. But again, from the beginning of the incident, that de-escalation was started upon the arrival of the officers.
Go over here to the left a minute.
Has there been a history of other problems or crimes in that area?
Yeah, so I just looked at that. It is unfortunately an area that has suffered some theft, some breaking and entering, and so when you're looking at the strip mall that this occurred at, there was some video there, and that's a proactive measure from businesses that are in the area to set up that surveillance to stop that. And unfortunately, it is an area that has experienced a lot of theft, grand larceny, and breaking and entering.
Has anything been done to try to help with that situation since it's been escalating?
Yeah, I think that's, I would say that the fact that the businesses are involved and these are good guardians of those businesses where they're putting those measures in place, and someone's able to call the police when they're looking at and monitoring that someone's attempting to break into their business. I don't know what the backstory is, but I can bet that there was some community involvement and the police were involved in talking about the issues that are occurring in that neighborhood.
Go to Angela.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, do you know if the suspect was trying to break into other businesses before he got to the one?
We don't know, and I think that's part of the process of gathering any video evidence. And again, if anyone does have that video evidence, they're more than welcome to send that to APD or call Crime Stoppers with that information. But again, this is somebody that he had been there for several minutes by the time he had stayed on scene from the time that the call was received to the officers there. He had been there for a while.
We'll go to the back and Brianna.
And you said the suspect raised his weapon. Did he point it at officers? And then when officers opened fire, was it one officer or multiple officers that fired?
Yeah, so there were 5 officers that fired. And so when you're looking at a scene like that, a gun is raised, all of those officers have different perspectives of what that threat is. And so all officers fired, or at least 5 of the officers.
When it comes to the process of coming to address these situations publicly, is this kind of a format that you're anticipating on continuing for future critical incidents where you come and, hold a press conference like this the following day?
Yeah, I think it's important, and again, I'm working with Anna and her fantastic team here at Austin. I mean, they do a phenomenal job, and I feel so fortunate to have them. It's about what's going to work best for us and a comfort level that I have. I'm used to doing this, and it's the comfort level that I have, so it's just kind of meeting with the team and kind of figuring out what's going to work best.
Last question over here. You said 5 officers fired. How many officers were there, and then 5 of those fired?
Right, I'm not sure of the exact number, but that will be released at the day 10. But at that point, when you're looking at the cars that were surrounding, they did, again, a great job of getting cover for themselves. It's a person that's armed, he's obviously agitated, and they did a fantastic job of, protecting themselves, and unfortunately having to make that decision.
And clarify on the weapon. What was his weapon?
It was a gun.
Yes, but I mean, what type of gun?
At this point, I believe it was a revolver. But again, you're talking about, let's say, Lee, about 25 to 50, how far do you think from the time the officers stopped? Again, great tactics on their part. I would say 20 to 25 feet the officers were aware, but again, all they know is this was a gun. This was a gun in his hand and a rock.
Chief Davis, thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.